Start with the Detroit Red Wings, Frank, who were taken down by the New York Rangers for a second straight game. It's a 5-2 defeat. And again, no empty netters here. They were down 5-1 through 40 minutes. So it's not like the game was any more flattering than what the scoreboard goes to show. Detroit, I think, has been a tad unlucky. They're 26th in 5-on-5 PDO. That number should come up a little bit, although it's not overly egregious, but they're allowing the 5th most shots against at 5-on-5. They've had a couple of rough goaltending performances, namely one from Ville Husso this season. When you look at a Red Wings team that is now 1-3 to start the year, do you go signs for concern, or do you go, well, they did just lose twice to a really good Rangers team?
Major red flags.
Okay.
And it's not for the PDO. Obviously, their goal scoring will increase. To me, it's the way they defend and their goaltending. I have said for a while that I'm not a believer in the Red Wings defense core. I don't think it's Stanley Cup playoff caliber. And beyond that, their goaltending leaves a ton to be desired. You see Cam Talbot yanked last night after allowing 5. Alex Lyon comes in. They're carrying 3 goalies. They can't get it right. They just can't. And I don't know what the solution is there, because I don't think there's a short-term fix. Some excitement today. Marco Casper being recalled under emergency conditions, first-round pick. Obviously someone that Derek Lalonde had mentioned that if he is coming up, it will be for a longer period of time. So that part's exciting, but the emergency conditions, they sound like it's obviously a roster thing, but kind of feels more like emergency conditions in terms of their season, because I just think the Detroit Red Wings are stuck in neutral, and I don't know how they find a way out with the way that they're defending. Yes, this is a really mercurial team from last year, a team that had a roller coaster ride, good start, really poor stretch through and in around December, and then found it again just in time to, experience some playoff heartbreak and fall short. So the key to that last year was that they got off to a good start. I do think they have the offensive firepower to get there, but real question marks about their defense. And look, I had this team finishing 8th in the division, and that's exactly where they sit now through the first handful of games of the season. It's way too early to pat yourself on the back, and that's certainly not what I'm doing at the expense of Red Wings fans. But I'm struggling to see a path forward. And by the way, we'll talk about the Bolts in a second, but take a look at the Atlantic Division standings today. They're basically the same 4 teams in the playoffs that have been in the playoffs for the last however many years. How do you find a way to break through, particularly when it feels like, and we'll get to it, another year in which I underestimated the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah, Jeremiah says, feels like the Yzer plan is in some trouble. David is in. He says the Sabres have pieces, but the Wings seem to have a whole lot of nothing. And I mean,
by the way, the Sabres, they got to find a way to defend. I mean,
that too, but at least you can look at their blue line and be like, I like Byram, I like Power, I like Dahlin.
That's the part that's so frustrating, is because you look at it and you say, if you were to start a team from scratch today and build, how many defense cores would you pick before you pick Buffalo? Maybe Colorado? That's it. I'm not picking another one before I'm picking Buffalo. And the fact that the Sabres, another game like last night, 6 goals against, it doesn't cut it.
No, it doesn't. And they got to get it figured out. But the point, and again, to go to David's point there, like, at least in Buffalo, you can look at that blue line and be like, okay, if everyone figures it out here, like, we like those pieces. We looked at Detroit's blue line. Like, was that maybe their misstep this offseason to tie it into the Yzer plan? As much as even saying that now makes me kind of roll my eyes. Like, should they have focused harder on this blue line? Like, getting Eric Gustafsson, that shouldn't have been viewed as any sort of a solution.
Look, they've got 2 really good foundational pieces in Moritz Seider, and Simon Edvinsson is just breaking into the league. Asking him to be your second best defenseman and carry a pair is not a recipe for success. Justin Hall, Ben Sherratt, Oli Mata, Jeff Petrie when he's healthy, Eric Gustafsson, like, that's not the makings of a playoff caliber defense. It just isn't.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I like Larkin and Raymond, DeBrincat. I like the support pieces, Comfer, but maybe you didn't need Vladimir Tarasenko at nearly $5 million to play on your third line.
Yeah, and also missing another big piece last year from David Perron. I mean, he's in Ottawa now. Like, there has been some turnover, and it's just the defense hasn't improved.
Yeah. What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.